I'm Nathaniel from the Robo FTC 7129. I'm the drive coach.
I'm Aiden, I'm the driver.
I'm Austin, and I'm the operator.
And today we're going to be reviewing our matches from the Qualifier, and we're going to be seeing how to improve for our state competition. So welcome to... Alright, this is our first match. So our autonomous, we had kind of been struggling with a lot going into qualifiers.
So the sensors and encoders that we wanted to use for autonomous weren't as accurate as we had planned them to be. So there was a lot of last minute programming for autonomous that happened. As a result, it was very inconsistent.
That's something that we're definitely working on for the state tournament. This is really bad, guys. I did not realize our autonomous was that
We
bad.
got 1 point in the autonomous. Here, I have to turn the robot around and reset my field centric with my handy dandy B button on my gamepad.
Here, our collection servo, the one that we used to lower the arm, was having issues. So I tried to knock it against the pole to fix it.
We weren't sure if it was a mechanical problem that it was stuck up or if there was some other issue. We found out later that the connection going all the way up through the lift was a little bit loose. So just jiggling that around enough was able to get it to work. But after that, we made sure to tape that up because it wasn't taped for some reason. Here, our strategy is to be the first couple links in the circuit, and our alliance partner would do the rest, and then we would just cycle onto the high junction. So here we put one on the low junction, now we're just going to cycle onto the high junction. You can see after the first couple cones, we get a little more into the groove. We're able to do it a little faster. But yeah, the first couple cones are always a little harder since we're not quite used to it yet.
And right now, our alliance partner is going for the other links of the circuit, and currently we do have a circuit. And right now, we're just going to continue on cycling, and they're going to defend off our circuit.
And they're collecting off of these stacked cones, which was very helpful for us so that we didn't have to interfere with each other.
It's really helpful if your teammate can stay out of your way as much as possible, especially with our strategy of just cycling under the high junction.
Here, we were trying to take our time scoring the beacon because it's worth a lot of points, and we wanted to make sure that we could capitalize on them.
Yeah, so we went to that junction so that we could secure our circuit, make sure that we got that. The opposing alliance couldn't block it, so that's why we had the beacon there. We unfortunately dropped the cone, but we were able to square the beacon and secure that circuit. So we ended the match with a score of 107, which I think is pretty good considering that we weren't able to collect anything for the first considerable amount of the match. So
moving on.
Alright, so this is our second match, qualification match number 10.
Our autonomous strategy going in was to score our preloaded on low, 2 on medium in park. I believe after match 3, we just decided to go 1 for medium for consistency's sake and just trying to get as many points as we can.
So you can see we missed our cone onto the medium junction, but we were able to score on the low junction and park.
So we were having issues going from autonomous to teleop.
So when we went, after autonomous stopped, either a 30-second time was up or we manually pressed stop on it, it would just disconnect the robot. So in the last semi-final match, we there's a button that you can press once your autonomous is initialized. You can pre-initialize your teleop so that as soon as the program's done, it has the teleop open. So that seemed like it fixed the issue for us.
Here you can see again, the first couple cones were kind of struggling, getting into the groove, but then after that we're able to get in the groove a little better.
So right now it's a tight match, 66 to 64. We're just continuing to cycle, while our alliance partners collect from the stack and just try to own as many junctions as possible.
And we plan to, once we're done cycling, when there's about 20 seconds left, to do our best to stop the opposing alliances circuit.
Cool. So there we had the cone kind of flat on the junction, so we just raised the lift and hit the cone, funneling it into the junction.
Here you saw our human player put the beacon on really fast. As drive coach, I directed him to do that so that we could prevent the red alliance circuit.
So right now they have multiple ways of circuit. So we scored it on the high junction, and now we are scoring it on the medium junction to stop their circuit, and we did it. And I was very happy in that moment.
All right, so we scored 129 points that match, which was able to beat the other alliance, and so we won that match as well.
So in qualification match 15, while setting up autonomous, our camera under our robot wasn't sensing our QR code. So I was kind of staying on the field to make sure it would actually sense it.
So the refs just went ahead and gave us the penalty before giving us any warning, but it was pretty deserved. So here you can see our autonomous kind of waiting there. So we have a sensor actually inside the collection to wait until a cone is collected. And so we were able to collect that. Unfortunately, after that, something went wrong with the autonomous, and we weren't able to do anything else.
So here, our strategy was to put a cone in the terminal, and then score one on the low, and then just cycle one high to be the first part to ride circuit run.
And so we practiced a lot of what the most efficient way of completing those first 3 links in the circuit is. And we found that pushing the first one in, coming kind of overshooting it and then pushing it in, and then collecting and scoring the high junction first and then the low junction was actually the fastest way of doing it. So that's, as you can see, how we did that. And then we just kept on cycling onto the high junction.
So, in our match, we wanted to complete a circuit, but I guess after autonomous, our alliance partner's robot kind of shut off and they were deactivated. So it was a 1v2, and we just decided to do cycles, and I think we did pretty well competing, even though we lost this match.
You can see I directed our human player to put on the beacon, and then we're coming over here to prevent the blue alliance's circuit. And that was successful. There you can see the blue alliance putting a cone on top of our stack to own that junction. And so that match we ended with a score of 115 points, which was basically by ourselves, so I thought that was pretty decent. But the Blue Alliance still was able to win that match.
Going into this match, we wanted to do the same thing, which was put a cone in terminal, score on low and score on high. But as you will see in a second, we didn't really realize what side of the field we were on, and so we scored a blue cone in the red terminal.
For our autonomous, again, you saw just scored the one on the low junction and was not able to do anything else.
And we both parked, which started off teleop 47 to 27.
So here we had the problem of switching between auto and teleop again, and that prevented maybe 10 seconds worth of teleop time.
All right, here again, as we mentioned before, that was kind of my bad as the coach. I directed them to put it in the terminal. For some reason, I thought our terminal was on the left instead of the red alliances. So that is why it is important to practice on both sides of the field so that you can kind of get a feel for that and know when you should do a certain strategy.
So yeah, when he says to score on terminal, we're very used to being on the side of the terminal because we normally don't score on terminals on the opposite side of the field. So our muscle memory and just of what we're used to practicing, we just scored it in the terminal.
Alright, so we did double check with the ref to make sure that that wasn't going to be a penalty to have a blue cone in that red terminal, but she reassured that that was not a penalty. So we just kept on with our strategy of cycling on the high junction.
So, yeah, like Nathaniel said, our strategy was to just cycle on high, and our alliance partners will attempt to go for a circuit. This will end up being our highest scoring match, which is very nice. Yeah.
You can see how efficient we are with our strategy of just cycling onto the high junction, since that's what we've gotten so much practice with. Other than that cone we dropped, but. And here we have the beacon out to prevent the Red Alliance's circuit. They're going on to that high junction. We've got about 7 seconds left, so we're going back to reclaim that one junction to get those extra 3 points. So we won this match with a score of 174 points. Unfortunately, our alliance partner wasn't able to get the last cone into the terminal, so we didn't get the circuit, but we were able to prevent the Red Alliance's circuit and score lots of points by cycling into the high junction. But if we scored into that terminal, we would have gotten an extra 20 points. Alright, so this match you can see
We wanted our teleapp to be on the right side of the field, but they wanted their autonomous to be on the right. So during the teleapp phase, we just switched sides.
And that worked fine. Here you can see our autonomous strategy changed a little bit. During the competition, we realized that we were just so inconsistent with collecting from the stack. We just tried one and then tried parking, but we were still inconsistent enough that we weren't able to park either.
Oh my goodness!
There you can see our whole lift wobbling quite a lot. You'll see later on that caused lots of problems. That's something that we are fixing for state tournament. There you can see a little bit of miscommunication. We thought we were going to be sticking on the left side, but our alliance partner kind of got in the way there, so we just kind of waited. That's where it's very important for the coaches to talk to each other to make sure that our initial strategy that we talked about before the match is still holding during the match.
Oof! Alright, so our turntable is basically mounted onto our drivetrain with 4 screws. One of those screws was missing.
So we actually lowered down on top of the junction, which actually tipped us over. So there was just kind of enough wobble that we kind of wobbled on top of it as we were lowering down and tipped over. And so we kind of tried a little bit to right ourselves, but obviously there was nothing we could have done. So we were decommissioned for the rest of the match. Alright, so after our qualification matches, we were ranked number 4. So as a number 4 ranked team, we wanted to try and convince the higher up teams to pick us as our alliance partner. The number 1 team ended up picking the number 3 ranked team, and so we were able to convince the number 2 ranked team, and so they were able to pick us onto their alliance, and this is our first semifinals match together.
So here our strategy after autonomous would be like all of the other matches, doing the first 3 links of the circuit and then just cycling. Here it does not look like our cone, our preloaded cone scored, and we just simply parked, but we didn't park all the way in that zone because our one lift motor was outside of that.
Our turntable was off just very slightly, so it was just slightly over the tile. Yeah, we weren't able to score basically any points during the autonomous period, but for most of the teleop period, we were able to make up for that. So here again, our most efficient way of doing it is to go to the high junction first and then go to the low junction next, as you'll see us doing here.
So we knew going into our first semifinal match that the other alliance is very heavily motivated on to doing a possession and circuit. So our goal was to just get as many cones onto the high tall junction there and then prevent the other team's circuit.
Back there you just saw the blue line scoring onto that junction and the red reclaiming that, and then we're continuing to cycle on there.
So just a second ago while Nathaniel was talking, you kind of saw us run into our teammates Control Y, and after the match we were called for a penalty for hitting the other alliance, Warm Gears to be specific. They thought we hit them, but looking back, we didn't hit them, and yeah.
That's one of the lessons we learned, to make sure we understand all of our penalties before we leave the field. Right now we have 11 cones on our high junction, but the blue alliance is scoring their beacon on top. So here you can see us trying to score onto the high junction to complete our circuit, prevent the blue circuit, and score those points for owning that junction. As a drive coach, I saw the pink robot Worm Gear Warriors coming over, and then I saw a robot scoring onto that junction. So I had thought that the Worm Gears were on the blue alliance trying to score on that. I saw later on that it was the red alliance, our alliance partner, trying to do that. So then I directed them to score on the medium junction just so that we could get extra points. But then they missed it, so I directed them back, and then this happened. And so here's where the missing screw in the turntable really came back to bite us. So generally, just stopping at that speed wouldn't be a problem, but with that extra wobble, the momentum pushed us over and unscored basically every single point that we scored during that match. And descored the one blue cone that was on that junction as well, which got us a minor penalty, which ended up losing the match because of it.
We lost by 1 point.
So we ended up getting 3 minor penalties that match. One of them was for a human flight violation, reaching in while a robot was in the substation. Another one was supposedly interacting with the Blue Alliance. Looking back at the video, that didn't happen, so we're not quite sure why the refs gave that to us. And the final penalty was for descoring that blue cone on the high junction there. One of the biggest lessons that we've learned throughout the qualifiers and that we'll implement at the state tournament is making sure that we understand every single penalty that the refs give us before leaving the field. If we just would have understood the reasoning for giving us the penalty for interfering with the Blue Alliance, they could have realized that actually wasn't the Blue Alliance that we were interfering, and we could have not gotten that minor penalty and actually won the match because we just lost by 1 point.
Also, just throwing this out there, our second semifinal match that we didn't partake in, we also lost by 1 point as well.
So for the next 2 weeks, we are practicing doing circuits, we're practicing doing possession, and we're also practicing doing cycling. But mainly our strategy going to states will be a mix of possession and cycling. We get more points in cycling, but use a lot more cones. So we're going to try to use a healthy balance between the two.
And meeting after qualifiers, we went through everything that we needed to do in the next 2 weeks since we've only got a very limited amount of time before states. So we realized that our autonomous was a very high priority since we really didn't have a strong autonomous. We wanted that for states. Another thing that we figured out at the meeting after our qualifying tournament was to have a very, very detailed checklist after and before each match. At the qualifiers, we just had a pre-match checklist to make sure that everything was good going into the match, but that means that if we found something, we wouldn't actually have time to fix it. So now we're implementing something to, once we get back to the pits, double checking every single thing that could go wrong. So looking at specific screws, making sure a specific servo works, making sure especially that the turntable is tightened fully, so there's no wobble in there so that we can't tip over. So although we were able to do decently well in the robot, we didn't advance from the robot, and so the reason we got to state was because we won #1 Inspire. Alright, thank you for watching this video reviewing our qualification matches. As you can see, we're making a few changes before our state tournament to do the very best that we can there. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and keep watching for future videos reviewing our state matches.
Peace.
Qualifier.
I have to go let my dog out. My dog has been.
States.
Yeah, currently.
What was that?
You're really distracting me.
Continue.
What's your arm?
That definitely goes over.
I got muscles.
So we have a chance.
That does not sound good. That does not sound good. It does not sound good. It does not.
Which one?
Oh, we lose round one. Elena, we need you to be prepared.
Okay, stop. We're playing.
I feel like the middle
Stop.
cow.
I wonder if Jared's gonna watch your bloopers.
To Smither Beans.
Alright, you're done.
Watch my gracious perfection.
Okay,
Going into this match,
you cut me off!
Let the man talk. He's the one that got us to play a game.
Okay, that's not math. Never mind.
It's not math.
That is not math.
That is in fact arithmetic.
I hate you.
Oh, bloopers are gonna be great.